There's a line in a certain manga that goes, "For humans, death is not attained due to the stoppage of their heart, but rather when people forget about them." However, for him, death wasn't being forgotten by others. It was actually the opposite. He used to live by selling in-game items and wished for others to forget about him. Having lived under the radar all that time, he wondered how he ended up there, suddenly facing off against those well-known top rankers in front of such a large crowd. Moreover, he pondered how he managed to compete with them on equal footing. But then, he remembered that the god within him awakened in the middle of a game after she was installed on his ID. Everything changed. Our story began on a stormy night outside a house. The owner, peering through her door, noticed someone attempting to forcefully enter. Eventually, the door collapsed, swinging open. Reacting quickly, she reached into her desk cabinet and grabbed what appeared to be a pair of earphones. As the intruder kicked his way into her home, Ikezaki Kokone swiftly inserted the earphone-like device into her ears, initiating the D-Mind system. The man lunged towards her, but she skillfully evaded his grasp, aided by the system's explanation that it was not a typical virtual reality experience. The man managed to pin her down, his grip tightening around her throat, intending to strangle her. In the midst of this life-or-death struggle, the system asked if she would like to continue using her service, to which she somehow managed to accept. As the man applied more pressure to her throat, hastening her demise, the system clarified that by agreeing to their service, her consciousness would be separated from her physical body, effectively causing her death in the real world. It asked if she comprehended and consented to this arrangement. With a grim acceptance, she replied affirmatively, urging the system to proceed since she would meet her end regardless. Choosing the final kingdom as her destination, she struggled to convey her preference. The system acknowledged her decision and commenced the transfer of her digitized consciousness. Tears streaming down her face, she closed her eyes and let go of her physical existence. While her body perished at the hands of her assailants, her consciousness survived within the game world she had created. The system informed her that Ikezaki Kokone's consciousness was now bound for the final kingdom after her death. The man positioned her in a chair, fastening a rope around her neck. A phone call interrupted him, inquiring about the situation. He assured the caller that everything had proceeded smoothly. Pleased with his accomplishment, the person on the other end promised to send him his payment and advised him to lay low abroad for a while. The following day, news outlets reported the discovery of Kokone's lifeless body in her home. At dawn, she was identified as the representative of FK Software Company known for developing the online game Final Kingdom. Notably, she was also credited with VRS, the virtual reality system that had captivated the world 5 years prior, and she had been actively involved in game-related events. The man, wearing a device that granted access to the Final Kingdom, found himself face-to-face with a dragon as it slowly gathered flames in its mouth. It exhaled a fiery blast, transforming into the Final Kingdom's logo. Opening his eyes slowly, he marveled at the dragon above him, exhilarated to have entered the neophyte's town and surrounded by diverse sights. Meanwhile, news outlets revealed that Ikezaki had announced the development of a game utilizing VRS to the public. Due to her influential presence, numerous players had eagerly anticipated its release. Additionally, a will had been discovered in her house, leading investigators to speculate that she had suffered physical and mental breakdowns, prompting her decision to end her own life. On the other hand, FK Software Company insisted that her death was not a suicide. However, the man switched off the television, unable to finish watching the news. He sighed in frustration, saddened that a talented individual like Kokone had met such a fate. Suddenly, he recalled Kokone's words about the VRS program directly impacting the user's brain. She had warned of the potential misuse of such technology if it were to become commercially available. The man, who happened to be the company's president, had confronted her, questioning the substantial investment he had made in the project and the notion of limiting the remarkable program's reach to the gaming industry alone. Kokone had argued that if the entire world became addicted to virtual reality, it would lead to severe problems as people progressively neglected reality. She staunchly refused to allow the program's uncontrolled distribution. The enraged president berated her, claiming she wanted to kill the goose that laid the golden axe. She countered by explaining that the gaming industry was a vast market, assuring him that the substantial funds he had invested would yield significant returns. Thus, he should not worry. Lost in thought, the president gazed out of the window, pondering the idea that using VR systems exclusively for gaming was foolish. He regretted how far he had gone, reflecting that if only Cocoon had changed her perspective, things might not have escalated to this point. 7 years later, deep within the Final Kingdom's secret dungeon in the Frost region, a multitude of players faced a colossal monster, Iron Wolf. The guildmaster of Blade Guild reminded his comrades. Iron Wolf asked Joker about his extraordinary abilities and how he had managed to defeat the seemingly invincible monster. Joker simply replied with a mysterious smile, stating that he was just a player who had spent a lot of time studying the game's mechanics and discovering its secrets. Iron Wolf pressed further, expressing his admiration for Joker's skills and his desire to learn from him. Joker chuckled, amused by Iron Wolf's eagerness, and agreed to share some of his knowledge. As they walked through the virtual world of the Final Kingdom, Joker explained various strategies and techniques, revealing hidden shortcuts and powerful tactics. Iron Wolf listened intently, absorbing every word and marveling at Joker's expertise. With Joker's guidance, Iron Wolf's understanding of the game deepened, and his confidence grew. He began to see the world of the Final Kingdom in a new light, recognizing opportunities and challenges that he had never noticed before. As they parted ways, Joker left Iron Wolf with a parting gift, a rare item that would aid him on his journey. Iron Wolf thanked Joker gratefully, feeling inspired and determined to continue his adventures in the Final Kingdom. From that day forward, Iron Wolf embarked on a quest to hone his skills and become a legendary player like Joker. And though their paths diverged, the bond forged between them remained strong, a testament to the transformative power of friendship and mentorship in the world of virtual reality. NPC non-player character disguised as a player known as the Wyvern Master, who controlled the wyvern they had just defeated. This revelation shocked Sonoda, who realized that they had been manipulated into attacking Hayato. Hayato then revealed that the footprints they found earlier were deliberately left by the Wyvern Master to mislead them. He also explained that the Badlander set they found belonged to the Wyvern Master, who used it to hide and manipulate the situation. As Sonoda and his associates grappled with this new information, Hayato demanded compensation for the trouble they had caused him. Sonoda reluctantly agreed, acknowledging Hayato's prowess in the game. With the situation resolved, Hayato and Shuma left the area, leaving Sonoda and his associates to contemplate their actions. As they departed, Hayato reflected on the events that had unfolded and the lessons he had learned about trust, deception, and the true nature of the Final Kingdom. With a renewed sense of determination, he vowed to continue his journey, knowing that he had the skills and knowledge to succeed in the virtual world. As he ventured forth into the unknown, Hayato knew that challenges awaited him, but he also knew that he had the strength and resilience to overcome them. With Kaori by his side and Shuma as his ally, he was ready to face whatever obstacles lay ahead and carve out his own path in the Final Kingdom. And as he looked to the future, Hayato felt a sense of excitement and anticipation, knowing that the greatest adventures were yet to come. Done, he carefully reviewed the documents she handed him, which outlined a detailed plan for financial success in the game. Intrigued but still hesitant, he asked Kaori about the risks involved. Kaori acknowledged that there were risks, but she assured him that with proper strategy and determination, the rewards far outweighed the potential downsides. After much deliberation, he made up his mind and decided to take the leap of faith. Kaori smiled, expressing her confidence in his decision, and they toasted to their partnership. With Kaori's guidance and support, he embarked on a new chapter in his journey within the Final Kingdom. He borrowed the necessary funds, purchased the hero set, and delved into higher-level dungeons with renewed vigor and determination. As he accumulated rare items and steadily increased his wealth, he marveled at the transformation he had undergone. No longer a struggling player on the fringes of the game, he was now a formidable force to be reckoned with, a true master of the final kingdom. Months passed, and his success continued to grow, thanks to his partnership with Kaori and his unwavering dedication to his goals. Together, they navigated the challenges of the game, overcoming obstacles and seizing opportunities with skill and determination. With each passing day, he grew more confident in his abilities and more grateful for the friendship and support of Kaori. She had been there for him when he needed it most, guiding him through the darkest moments and celebrating with him in times of triumph. As they forged ahead together, he knew that their partnership was not just about financial success. It was about friendship, trust, and mutual respect. And with Kaori by his side, he knew that anything was possible in the final kingdom. And so, their journey continued, filled with adventure, excitement, and endless possibilities. For him, the final kingdom was not just a game, it was a world of opportunity, where dreams could be realized and fortunes could be made. And with Kaori as his guide, he was ready to conquer whatever challenges lay ahead, confident in his ability to succeed and grateful for the chance to live his best life in the virtual realm. He was outside. He hailed a taxi and quickly made his way to the designated meeting place. As he arrived, he scanned the area cautiously, making sure he wasn't being followed. Spotting a familiar figure, he approached cautiously, ready for any confrontation. Sonoda and his associates were waiting for him, their expressions a mix of impatience and menace. Hayato tensed, preparing himself for the worst as he stepped forward to confront them. Sonoda wasted no time in getting to the point, demanding the return of the stolen items. Hayato remained calm, his mind racing as he formulated a plan. He couldn't afford to let Sonoda and his cronies get their hands on the items he had acquired. With a steely resolve, he refused to comply with Sonoda's demands, knowing that giving in would only embolden them further. Sensing the tension escalating, Hayato braced himself for a confrontation. But before things could escalate further, a sudden commotion erupted nearby, drawing everyone's attention. Hayato seized the opportunity, slipping away unnoticed in the chaos. As he made his escape, he felt a surge of adrenaline coursing through him. Despite narrowly evading capture, he knew that his troubles were far from over. With Sonoda and his associates hot on his trail, he would need to stay one step ahead if he hoped to survive. Determined to outwit his pursuers, Hayato vanished into the bustling city streets, disappearing into the anonymity of the crowd. With each step, he moved further away from danger, plotting his next move carefully as he navigated the perilous world of the final kingdom. He arrived at his new residence. The men informed him that the installation of his new VR system was complete. Grateful for their efforts, he thanked them, aware of the fees for the new VR system and the payment Tashuma had taken on his finances. Additionally, the last Badlander set he had acquired didn't boast impressive stats, making it difficult to sell. Nevertheless, he found solace in knowing that after selling everything and settling his debts, he would still have 300,000 credits. Without hesitation, he entered his new VR system, eager to verify if the previous incident had truly been his fault. Venturing into the El Dorado areas, a class dungeon known as the Forgotten Dragon Nest, he concealed himself behind massive stones, speculating whether anyone else was present. Contemplating the possibility of someone employing a stealth spell, he activated his concealment detection, revealing that there was indeed no one else nearby. Emerging from his hiding spot, he proceeded toward the center of the dungeon. Standing in the middle, he hesitated before taking a step forward. He was certain that this was the area where he had accessed the secret quest, but he wondered how he had accomplished it, and where he had seen the girl trapped inside the crystal. Curiosity piqued, the girl asked him what he was contemplating. He replied, expressing his attempt to recall where he had last encountered the girl trapped inside the crystal. The girl asked him to confirm if he recognized her, to which he replied affirmatively, albeit unable to recollect the details. Turning around to address his unseen interlocutor, he was shocked to find the girl standing right behind him. Overwhelmed, he collapsed to the ground, his gaze fixed on her as she descended and looked at him. Discovering that she was no ghost, he knelt down beside him, observing her. The girl, knowledgeable about the game and him, someone who had previously been insignificant, marked their first encounter. She asked him where he had found her, but he was lost in his thoughts, wondering if the girl in front of him was an NPC. Then he realized something strange. If the girl was an NPC, a green frame would appear to distinguish her from real players. So he wondered if she wasn't an NPC after all. The girl smiled and asked him if he was thinking about her being an NPC. Suddenly, she turned into a green fog and entered his body, leaving him surprised. He shouted in shock, and when the fog disappeared, he touched his body in confusion. The girl asked him if he still thought she was an NPC, making him look around in panic. Then he stopped, realizing something, and touched his glowing body, asking if it was her who had entered inside him. His hand lit up as the girl confirmed that he was right. He was shocked to see the girl sitting on his hand laughing. She told him that she would explain everything if he told her where he had seen her before. Later, in the rugged landscape, he asked her if she was saying that she had lost her memories. She replied yes and told him that she didn't remember anything about herself or how she ended up in the crystal. She asked him to tell her who she was. He asked her how many times he needed to repeat that he didn't know her, but she reminded him that he had said the same thing before. He opened the system, explaining to the girl that he only had a faint feeling that he had seen her somewhere. Other than that, he didn't know anything about her. As he looked at the system, he realized something was strange. He remembered activating the secret quest of the girl who lost her memories, but it had disappeared. He knew that the girl who lost her memories was currently beside him, so he wondered if it disappeared because of an NPC and why the quest had vanished. She asked him to confirm if they had indeed met somewhere before. He replied that since she was an NPC, she might have been modeled after some celebrity by the development team. This could explain why he thought he knew her. The girl hit him on the back of his head, furiously explaining that she had already told him she was not an NPC. He scratched his head in shock and asked her how she could hit him. She replied, of course, and told him that she wasn't a ghost. He threw an apple at her, but it simply passed through her and landed on the ground. He asked her why he was able to do that if she wasn't a ghost. She replied that it was because only he could touch her, making him wonder why. She sadly explained that he was the one who had awakened her, and no one else could see her or touch her except him. Hearing this, his cheeks turned red as he wondered if it meant she wouldn't let anyone touch her except him. He found it somewhat titillating. He told her that being an NPC must be tough, which made the girl furious. She shouted at him again, emphasizing that she was not an NPC. He asked her if she was a player, and she replied negatively. Meanwhile, at the top of the cliff, Kaori and a man were observing him. The man asked Kaori if he was the guy who ran off with President Mizuki's money. Kaori confirmed and expressed disbelief that Sonoda had lost 40 million alone. The man smiled and commented that hey. Yen. He demanded an explanation, and Kaori trembled as she tried to justify the failure, expressing her shock at Hayato's unexpected skills. The man's grip tightened as he reminded her of the consequences of failure, threatening her life if she didn't rectify the situation immediately. Kaori pleaded for another chance, promising to make things right. The man released her, warning her that failure wasn't an option this time. Back in the virtual world, Hayato logged out, leaving the girl alone. She called him an idiot and sadly admitted that she couldn't speak to anyone else but him. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the man was livid, confirming if the assassination had really failed. Sonoda grabbed Kaori's neck and asked her if she remembered how much she had lost, reminding her that it was about 40 million yen. He demanded an explanation, and Kaori trembled as she tried to justify the failure, expressing her shock at Hayato's unexpected skills. The man's grip tightened as he reminded her of the consequences of failure, threatening her life if she didn't rectify the situation immediately. Kaori pleaded for another chance, promising to make things right. The man released her, warning her that failure wasn't an option this time. In the tense aftermath of the failed assassination attempt, Sonoda's fury erupted like a volcano. He lashed out at Kaori, blaming her for the failure, his anger boiling over as he raised his hand to strike her. But before he could deliver the blow, a commanding voice cut through the tension, bringing a temporary calm to the room. The man at the center of the room intervened, quelling the rising storm of emotions. He reminded Sonoda that losing control wouldn't solve their problems and instructed him to release Kaori. Reluctantly, Sonoda obeyed, but not without a final warning to Kaori. As the situation settled, the man turned his attention to Kaori, questioning her about Hayato's victory over Yuzumi Shenjin. Intrigued by the unexpected turn of events, he saw potential in Hayato's unorthodox triumph. He pondered Hayato's role as a possible asset for their future plans. Meanwhile, Hayato found himself grappling with a different kind of conflict. After impulsively repaying a large sum of money, he reflected on his impulsive decision and its consequences. Despite his temporary relief at settling his debt, he couldn't shake the feeling of unease about his precarious financial situation. Contemplating his next move, Hayato realized the importance of being cautious in a world where debts and obligations loomed over him like dark clouds. As he navigated the complexities of his virtual and real-life struggles, he couldn't help but wonder about the mysterious girl who had entered his life. In another corner of the virtual world, the girl eagerly awaited Hayato's return, her anticipation palpable as she yearned for their next encounter. When Hayato finally arrived, their reunion was filled with a mix of excitement and apprehension, each harboring their own hopes and fears for the future. Propelled by her unwavering belief in their shared destiny, the girl presented Hayato with a daring proposition to conquer the infamous cursed sanctuary. Despite Hayato's initial skepticism, the girl's conviction and persuasive arguments slowly began to sway him. As they delved deeper into their discussion, Hayato grappled with conflicting emotions, torn between skepticism and a glimmer of hope. With the promise of riches and adventure beckoning, he hesitated on the precipice of a life-changing decision. Ultimately, Hayato's journey into the cursed depths of the sanctuary symbolized more than just a quest for treasure. It represented a leap of faith into the unknown, a gamble on the possibility of a brighter future amidst the shadows of uncertainty. And so, with the echoes of their shared dreams and aspirations reverberating in the air, Hayato and the girl embarked on their next adventure, ready to confront whatever challenges fate had in store for them.